Hello, fellow paranormal enthusiasts. My name is Crystal Diff, and I am the program coordinator with Charlotte County History Services. I'm here today to present to you the Fringe Paranormal Discussion Group. Each month on the first Tuesday of the month, I'll be presenting new topics, including tons of different paranormal legends and phenomenon that I have been able to come up with during my research for Charlotte County history. All of these stories are primary or secondary sources from people in our community that have been witness to paranormal and strange events. This program is not designed to sway you one way or the other on whether you believe that the phenomenon is true or not. The purpose of this group is to present the information that has been lying within the fringes of our history. Fringe Paranormal is a public discussion group that was formed to discuss the paranormal with like-minded peers. This is intended to be a friendly meeting space where ideas can be shared and new topics can be learned from historic to current local phenomenon. The good news is that you can also be a part of this discussion. After each video, you can go to our discussion board on padlet.com/history services/fringe paranormal, where you can see the actual articles that I am discussing. With Halloween right around the corner, I thought I would start us off with a topic today on ghost stories. One of the other reasons that I started this group is I believe that there's a misconception about all of these paranormal happenings being a very modern occurrence, that these are just things that we've kind of invented in current events and that they haven't really been around for a very long period of time. But in actuality, the idea of a spirit or a ghost has been around for thousands and thousands of years, going all the way back to some of the first writings and artifacts that we can find from people. The ancient Egyptians, going back into 2500 BCE, they also believed in different elements of their spirit being broken up into different pieces. The Egyptian soul was considered the Ku, which was actually broken up into the Ka and Ba, each one representing a different part of that person's spirituality. We also see it in the Epic of Gilgamesh going back to 2100 BCE, and even some of the greatest minds that we think of going back into ancient philosophy with people like Pliny the Younger, who described a haunting that he encountered in 100 CE, or the Common Era. So the idea of a spirit or ghost has been around for a very long period of time and is really very rooted in our history. As soon as people could start writing and we find all of these ancient texts and manuscripts and carvings in stone, we see that people were trying to relate the story of what they believed a spirit was and their interactions with the spirit world. We even have some local connections with the ancient peoples that lived here, the native people known as the Calusa that lived in Southwest Florida believed that they had three souls, one that they could see in their shadow, one that they could see in their reflection, and one that resided in the pupil of their eye, each one again having a different task comprising up the one human spirit. There are many ghost stories that have been recorded in Charlotte County's history, dating back all the way into the late 1800s and early 1900s. So what is a ghost? Generally, the term is described as an apparition of a deceased person who is believed to appear or manifest in some way to the living. Typically, this could be an image. You can use sight, smell, sound, touch, or some people believe in the sixth sense where they can actually sense these spirits around them. There are many types of hauntings that people have experienced over time. Normally, they are categorized into a few different groups. One of them is intelligent. So this means that that spirit or entity is able to actually intelligently interact with the environment around it. Residual means that it's just a haunting that is happening from a residual point in time where it's being repeated over and over, and the entity itself is not necessarily intelligent to the fact that it is appearing, but is almost just captured in time like a record, kind of skipping and repeating over and over again. There's poltergeist activity, which is generally very noisy. These are the ones that you normally see in all the movies, all of the horror movies, are usually some kind of poltergeist activity. Something that is very loud, angry, and boisterous that is haunting a certain space. There are plenty of other categories of ghosts and types of hauntings. We're just going to go over some of the basics here, but please reach out if you ever have any questions, or feel free to check out our local library and get some books on the subject. Since this is my first video with you all in this program series, I'd like to share one of the most unique and interesting ghost stories that I have come across in my findings here in Charlotte County. This does not include the general picture of a ghost that you would think of. Normally we think of a ghost as being the spirit of a human being, like we discussed earlier, but this actually is an animal. This story is called Phantom Bees. There are many who have gone into a local cemetery here in Port Charlotte known as Rest Lawn Cemetery off of Forrest Nelson Boulevard. Over the years, we hear the stories of those who encountered the same exact phenomenon over and over again. At first, there was nowhere to really record these events. It was just by word of mouth. And then it did start to get posted in forums online, and investigators have gone out to the site in order to try to record this phenomenon in action. What happens is people will be out visiting the cemetery, and all of a sudden they feel like they are completely surrounded by a swarm of bees. Now, bees in their own right, many people are afraid of, and nobody wants to be attacked by an actual swarm of bees. But imagine having to have a swarm of bees around you that you cannot see. These people will hear the bees, they will feel them swarming around them, but they cannot find a source for these bees. Many people have gone out trying to find the source to see if maybe there's a hidden nest somewhere within the cemetery, but nobody has been able to come across anything to explain why people have this phenomenon happen to them. It's become a local legend to encounter the phantom bees. So why is it that people are experiencing these phantom bees? Where are they coming from? And this phantom bee phenomenon, or also known as the killer bee phenomenon, is considered a residual haunting because it's not an intelligent haunting that is taking place, but something that feels like it is trapped within time. So why the bees? One of the clues is in the location of the cemetery. I said that the cemetery was located on Forrest Nelson Boulevard. So who is Forrest Nelson? Forrest Nelson was one of the early pioneers of the Port Charlotte area, and his family settled in the Charlotte Harbor area in around 1907. They started off with cattle, and later the family business grew to dairy, laundry, beekeeping, turpentine, and also ornamental plants. And Forrest learned a lot of his horticultural abilities through working with Baron Collier to provide roses to the Usepa Island Club. He eventually bought over 180 acres in the Murdoch area as a homestead in 1930. Now, today it is known as Forrest Nelson Boulevard. He raised orchids, roses, ornamental shrubs, vegetables, and of course, bees. Well, why would he want bees on his property? He needed them to help pollinate all of the plants that he had on his property. So many people believe that this phenomenon has something to do with a residual haunting based off of some of the bees kept in the Forest Nelson land. Aside from being a unique legend that we have within our community, I love that this story really incorporates some local history knowledge into this phenomenon. It's stories like this that really help to integrate those two together. While I do encourage you to visit any of the public sites that I do talk about in my videos, I do want to make sure that you are using the utmost respect when you do visit these locations. Please make sure that you are visiting during normal hours of operation and not going in without permission to conduct any kind of investigations on your own. We want to continue to be able to share these amazing stories within the community without destroying these sites in the process. So there's one thing that I would like to know. Have you ever heard the phantom bees? Join me next month as we continue to tell the tales of local paranormal phenomenon in our Fringe Paranormal series. Thank you.